As the leader of the Booner Pack, I lead from the front.
All right, boys. Lock in.
It's our core foundation, man. Grit.
I'm fired up. I'm fired the fuck up, boys.
It's pumping right now. It's got my juice pumping, boys.
Welcome to Crunch Time Sports with Jeff Iafrate and Booner. It is Wednesday, December 17th, the day of the doc. John Maakaron joining today to talk Detroit Lions. Injury updates, news, everything. We'll get to him later in the first hour. Dan Campbell spoke today, which is always good. So we'll talk about what he spoke about. Updates on Christian Mahogany, David Montgomery's usage, so on and so forth. It'll be a great show today. How you doing, Boone?
Yeah, how you doing, just Jay, man? How you having a good day, man?
Yeah, I got my. You see what I got? See the
little red. Yeah, they play today too.
Saying
they're playing on TNT today, I believe. So actually, they're on right now. So
I'm slowly making the jump
to the red. Listen,
no. Just from Lions to Pistons, Red Wings.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm fully. I don't want to say I'm checking out, but it's getting to me. Everything. All this stuff's getting to me finally. So.
Yeah, I mean, listen. It's one of those things. I think no matter what, and you know me, I'm a big basketball guy. That's like always been like football's been my thing. But obviously, I know in the world that we live in, football's got to be number one for content. Get that. Basketball's been my number one since I was like 3 years old. Once hit January, it comes around like end of December, January. That's when my mind starts to switch. Even if the Lions were in the playoffs in the Super Bowl, a lot of my mind's starting to switch over to those winter sports a little bit, man. So I'm with you on that. I haven't been able to watch a lot of basketball, but I'm going to get there, man. I am.
Yeah.
I like the wings. So, hey, listen, I said this, by the way, you and Gentry had this whole like, who's better wing? I removed myself. I announced that a couple months ago. I removed myself from that. I am a Detroit fan, sports fan. Like I'm no longer going to do on one of the sides. I'm all in on every side. No doing.
Yeah, I try not to do too much. It's more of a Crunch Time Sports banner. You know, me and Klotz actually used to go at it, but now he's on my side. Now
he's with the whole Stevie Bye thing.
Now he's in the Stevie Bye thing. Now we go against Gentry. But in all seriousness, we root for all these teams, man.
I don't know if you guys root for the Wings. I do question that sometimes. I'm serious.
I know I will never do I'll say this. I'll never pull a Klotz and root against a team. Is that fair?
Yeah. By the way, I put a tweet out today about it. I'll tell you what. Let me go see real quick the comments
about what
about that. And there was a lot of people. There was like 40 or 50 people comment about, like, I just said, who in the world are there actually people, Detroit Lions fans out there that would rather have the Lions miss the playoffs than make the playoffs? It's insanity. And there were a lot of people in there being like, your co-host, and like putting Klotz's video underneath, which I think is funny.
Yeah. He was on the stand yesterday. If you missed that, you can go watch that episode. It
seems like our whole comment section is with Klotz, so that's good to know.
Yeah, a lot of comments on that video or on that live show yesterday. They were with Klotz. I was surprised. I really was. I'm surprised. Too. Again, it's not about thinking they'll make the playoffs. It's about rooting, and rooting for them to miss it is wild.
It's good to know we have no real Lions fans that watch our show.
Yeah, I'm not going to go that far, even though I have them missing the playoffs, 10-7, loss to the Bears. But I'm not going to sit here and root actively against them. But we're past that. We yelled at Klotz for 30 minutes. You can check that out yesterday. It was a good show. It was a really good show. We have our first practice report. Not that they fully practiced. Tomorrow, you're going to find out the big one. You know, what did I tell you on Sunday? Kirby Joseph. No, this isn't no news. Insider. I didn't have no conversation with anybody. That man's going on IR. Okay, he's done. I can feel
when does that happen though? Because you said that last week, and they made moves like Friday. And
I think officially we're gonna find out tomorrow because they have the full practice, or they have the actual, like, they get padded up and stuff. I think you'll see Kirby now, no practice, And then I think they'll ask about Kirby at some point, and then they're going to be like, yeah, no, we've made the move.
I'll tell you what, if it happens,
Or Ian Rappaport will tweet. He's officially.
It'll end up being Friday or Saturday, I think.
Sucks. So you're just waiting on that news. I've been waiting on it all week. Not that it sucks. It's the inevitable, in my opinion.
You did tell me Sunday after the game, you were like, Kirby's going on IR this week. And you obviously don't have any information, but you were just so stuck on like, I know it. Kirby's going to be on IR.
Yeah. I feel it. Feel it in my bones. It's coming soon. They made a bunch of moves for safeties. They signed a random corner the other day. I forgot. I realized Craig Reynolds is on the Patriots. I did not even realize.
Did he play?
No,
active?
But he's on the Patriots practice squad. I just found that out today.
Did you see that people didn't know this? We actually didn't bring this up yesterday. The Detroit Lions lost another safety yesterday as well. So like you're down Brian Branch, you're down Kirby Joseph. Brad Holmes refused to put Kirby on IR to move other safeties up off the practice squad. So someone off the practice squad, one of your safeties, is it Eric Hallett?
Eric Hallett to the Titans. He got poached.
Eric Hallett actually had significant snaps the week of the Legion of Whom, I believe. I
want to say he was second on the team in tackles. I don't know.
Versus the Rams. Versus the Rams, Eric Hallett had 10 total tackles. How do you let that happen? You're down 400 safeties. Your best you already lost your top two safeties. Avonte Maddox is up there. Is probably one of your best safety on the field on Sunday. It's not like he got hurt or anything. He got poached off your practice squad. Your best safety on the field versus the Los Angeles Rams, Jeff, got ripped away. That's insane.
The player has to agree. So he willingly left to go to the Titans.
Yeah, because they probably were like, we'll give you a deal since they won't give you one. And versus the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Legion of Whom week, that week he had 8 total tackles. And I think a lot of people remember him on that week. Yeah, I think he had a couple big plays in that game as well where people are like, oh, Eric Hallett. Insane. I just realized that just crossed my mind.
Did you see, what crossed my mind just now? Did you see the man, the myth, the legend, Matthew Judon, Grand Valley Zone, huh?
Yeah.
He was released today. By the way, he has not been good this year.
No, he has 0 sacks. I didn't realize that till today as well.
So I know I'm already seeing the YouTube. Why the Lions should pick up Matthew Judon coming out on every big channel. Guys,
we should do that.
To be fair, we did it before he played snaps in the this season. So we didn't know he'd be this ass.
We've done it for the last 2 years. I personally know his older brother or his younger brother and reached out to him 2 years ago to try to recruit him to the Lions. Yeah. I did my part. Yeah. Brad didn't do his part.
We've been trying to get Matthew Judon to be in Detroit. I will tell you this very confidently. He ain't coming home. All right. No. And that's because his play has dipped significantly. And right now it's like, it is what it is. Okay. You need more out of Davenport. You do. I don't know what Judon's going to bring you. He's probably not going to bring you much. Takes up a roster spot. Probably not going to happen. So just wanted to clarify that. I'm with Keys in the chat. It's not even worth discussing the Matthew Judon stuff. He's a free agent. He's probably going to continue to be a free agent. We'll see. But I did get the practice report today. At least guys that are hurt, injuries. That's the most important thing right now for the Lions. Every single week we're seeing who's practicing. Here's everyone on there. And there's some very important ones on here.
Taylor Decker. Shoulder.
Yeah, so I think today was kind of a walkthrough. So
yeah.
Again, it's very, do
you remember what LP means, Jeff?
It's a limited practice.
There we go.
Not a light practice. But yes, did not practice Taylor Decker. We knew that. Again, these are not new. Kirby did not. Again, I'm waiting for tomorrow. You'll find out more tomorrow when they actually, get into a more physical practice. You'll find out more. Tristan Clone and Giovanni Manu. Giovanni Manu popped up on there. Light, limited.
He's
practice.
back. They opened up his window today, Jeff, by the way. Congratulations.
Thanks. Appreciate it. I mean,
I think they legit. I'm sorry, Jeff. I actually think they have a lot of confidence in Gio. They were before he got hurt, before he had his knee injury. They were playing him like he was playing tackle. He started a game, like he was out there, and yeah, he wasn't great. He wasn't great, but today,
he was also against Trey Hendrickson. So I mean,
for sure. But Dan mentioned it today, Jeff, and he was like Dan seems confident in him. Like he's like he just needs to get more reps versus guys like Hutch.
No, he doesn't.
Are you going to officially denounce your fandom of Giovanni Manu? Or are you going to?
I would say I am not out, but I have not gotten what I probably expected, which was a little more positive.
Do you have like 1 foot out the door on that fan base, the Gio fan club?
And you know me, I usually die on the hill of a lot of players. You know, if a guy's my guy, he's my guy until proven otherwise, undoubtedly. I still like Giovanni Manu. I just think, man, he ain't helping you this year, so I really don't give a damn. I mean, I would rather have Miles Frazier line up at tackle, and he's played probably 10 snaps in his career, than Giovanni Manu right now. So that's just a fact. Who knows? Maybe he walks in and becomes Jordan Mailata. You know, who knows?
What year did Jordan Mailata, after he got drafted? What year did he? Was it his third season?
3. Yeah, it took a couple years.
All right, so there we go.
I mean, yeah, I'd probably say next year or bust. Like if you don't hear anything, it's over. This year, I think he's on the last year of his like give him time phase.
Yeah,
it's about it. It's coming up.
The problem is, Jeff, with the Giovanni Manu, like the fan club and the people who still have faith in him, is once you are the leader of the Giovanni Manu fan club. So once you detach yourself from that fan club, his time is essentially over in the NFL. So you dictate this kid's career. Like it all falls on you.
6'8", 250, man. It was a good run.
Do you remember that what was that video of him like doing like a vertical jump? Can you find that and send that to me? I want to post that on our socials. You know what I'm talking about? You know, we don't have to do it now. I just know you have that probably.
Are you talking about our reel reacting to that?
No, just the reel of him in general working out in like pre-draft stuff, and people are like, "This guy is Iron Man." It was just like, what? It's funny. Like, you're not wrong though. He's 6'8", and he has like you're like 6'8", no gut.
Yeah, he's 6'8", 350, no gut. That was an interesting time for Crunch Time Sports. I mean, I was fired up about Giovanni Manu.
Now he gets insane.
Now he gets the nickname Giovanni Manure. I mean, that's
like me falling in love with that one dude, man. That whole sentence sounds weird. I'm
honestly a year away from basically being your Broderick Martin take. I'm not too.
Yeah, well, to be fair, my Broderick one, I jumped off after year 2. We're in year 2 right now, and there's no signs of you jumping off. You are like full force ahead still. I was done after year 2. I said, give him year 2. If he doesn't get I was out. Who's the one guy from Canada that I was?
Matthew Betts.
Matty
Betts. Yep.
We've all attached ourselves to some random players, man.
It happens.
We all have.
Stephen Gilmore, another one. Didn't work out.
Yeah, you to be fair, I mean, I was about to say you're like 0 for 6, but I mean, I don't really have any dog in the fight either.
When you're in the business of doing this thing where you randomly try and attach yourselves to, all due respect to those players, but essentially nobody's, your hit rate's going to be extreme.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going off of undrafted free agents, 5th round picks, 4th round picks. I mean, we're really reaching. I mean, you tried to get a guy from the CFL. I mean, we're really reaching down in the bag.
I felt like Matty Betts was a good one, though. He had like 42 sacks in this Canadian Football League.
Yeah.
Maybe not 42, but it was a lot. Someone in there, who was it? I think it was Streams Only, said, I remember all of the pizza bets. I would have to say at the moment right now, my guess is just we've both been, not I'm going to say bad, but in the sense of pizza bets, they're always on like random players. My guess is just right now it's a wash.
Yeah, it's basically a wash. I mean, we've had a lot of.
Me and you do owe Klotz a pizza, though.
By the way, another player from that draft class, Sione Vaki, just combined the names. Sione Vaki.
I almost spit up that to the drink.
Yeah.
This guy said
Vaki. Remember that?
Giovanni.
Giovanni and Sione Vaki are 2 4th-round draft picks. And, you got Vaki limited practice. Yodi looks like full practice. Thomas Harper, good. That's a good sign. He participated today. So, and then you have the big fella, Christian Mahogany, participating today. Which
he's back.
And we'll play that clip. But you'd like to think he gives him a boost.
Yeah.
Okay. I know he's a little shaky at times, but that's just you have to at least think that. And the guy's going to come back and give him a boost. At least I hope so. But they've been playing overall. That offense is not the issue. I mean, you always can help. I mean, you always want guys to help protect Goff, obviously. But, Christian Mahogany coming back. He's a really good run blocker, so that's what makes me excited. Okay, he's a good run blocker. They've had inconsistencies in the run game. That helps, obviously. Helps protect Jared Goff. But the problem isn't on offense. They're number 1 in the league in scoring. The problem is stopping opponents from scoring. That's literally the issue. And what was the tweet that Will Birchfield put out? The Lions will be the first team since 2008 to lead the league. 2007 to lead the league in scoring and potentially miss the playoffs.
Yes. And he said every other team that's done it since 2007 has won their division. So you're not only just not winning your division, you're potentially not making the playoffs. The first team since 2007. Did you see my tweet today? Do you have your Twitter up? Can you throw it up?
Yeah.
I put a tweet up there and I took the picture that Tim 21 puts out the rankings. It's significant seeing, I think, the difference. I was like, I don't even want to look at the Pittsburgh Steelers rankings, but it's just like looking at like the Detroit Lions rankings of when it comes to like offensive rankings. There's 7 different categories, like points per games, yards, passing yards. There's all of those. But then when you like go down even farther, you go look at the defensive, and there's 7 defensive ones. So like, look at this, Jeff. Lions points per game. Let's just like look at the left side. Don't even care about Pittsburgh. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of the 7 categories. No 6, 7. But 6 out of the 7 categories, the Lions offense is in the top 5. 6 out of the 7 categories in the top 5. Yes. Now scroll down for me real quick to the defense. There is 1 category, Jeff, on defense where the Detroit Lions are even top 10. There is only 3 categories where they're top 15, and all of the rest, 4 out of the 7 categories, they're outside the top 20. They're the bottom 10 almost, essentially, in 4 of the 7 categories defensively. So it's significant. And what's crazy to me, I don't know if you see this, Jeff, like right now around Lions fans, or like especially Twitter. Like I think what you say sometimes, like Twitter's not a real place. Like some of the people in my comments, I'm kind of with you. Like I don't know if Twitter's a real thing. I don't. But some people being like trying to make the excuse like, well, the offense in certain spots need to be better. Dude, like, yeah, you could say the defense needs to be better, like top to bottom. Like they're just so bad. They've had like 3 games that everyone's held their hat on, and it's like those games haven't happened in like 6 weeks. You know what I mean? Like it's been brutal since the Eagles game, and even before the Eagles game, you still have to go back to find another game like that. So it's a little. Me and you were really premature on calling this defense a Super Bowl defense. We were really far off on that.
Oh, I still believe we jinxed them. I
There's a chance we did.
We said it on air. And then following that, they became one of the worst defenses in the league.
It's insane.
After we said that. After it left our mouth into the microphone, they've regressed significantly across the board. They've given up the most big plays. They're up there in the entire NFL since then. They can't stop any team from scoring points. They've regressed from like a top 10, I think, scoring defense to like 23rd right now. I mean, it's Jameis Winston caught a touchdown pass It's gotten really bad. And by the way, I have the practice report from the Steelers, which we can look at.
How are they looking?
There's one that I think helps a lot that might not play.
Offense or defense?
Defense.
Nick Herbig?
No, you see the one on the bottom there?
Oh, I forgot he had that.
Got stabbed in the lung.
The reason I forgot about the TJ Watt thing was because Aaron Rodgers' post game on Monday was like, I don't know what TJ's doing right now, but he better be ready to go for next week, like joking around. So it sounded like TJ's going to be like they think that he's going to be back.
Got stabbed in the lung by a doctor. I don't know what happens over there. It's tough. People are getting mad at the Lions training staff, medical staff, which, by the way, I think there's some truth to that. Imagine getting your lung punctured middle of the year in a playoff push with your best defensive player. Imagine Aiden getting stabbed in the lung during this 3-game stretch. That guy would be fired. I don't know. I don't even want to say what happened. I mean, that guy might disappear. Honestly, whoever that guy is. I mean, that's and he might not play. I mean, I don't know how long. Listen, I'm not a doctor. I don't know what happens. You get stabbed in the lung.
Man, it's surgery to air up his lung or whatever. I don't even know if that's
the right. Like a tire pump or something. Like,
I think when I read the tweet, my envisioning of this was his lung got deflated and they had to go in and put in a sports needle. Like, you know how like when you're like pumping up something, you got to get it wet. You put the sports needle in that's how I envision his surgery being like.
Yeah. That's why we're not doctors. That would make sense to me. That makes sense to me. I don't know. Maybe he can play, but he did not practice today. So that's good news. That would be massive for an offensive line that needs all the help they can get.
Oh, that'd be so good.
You're in a good position.
You're already I mean, I guess you're 6.5 point favorites at the moment. It would probably move if TJ Watt gets.
Oh, he's a line mover.
Yeah, at least 1 point to 5.
Dan Campbell spoke about Christian Mahogany and David Montgomery. Let's get to the Mahogany stuff because he is returning. This is Dan Campbell speaking about Mahogany's return and
just kind of walkthrough today, but Mahogany was listed as full go.
Full go walkthrough today.
What are the chances he can be back this week, and what sort of lift can he give you when he?
Yeah, we're hopeful. We'll know a lot more tomorrow. You know, I know by last week, certainly, you know, was okay. That looked pretty good, but also knew he wasn't ready. So, I mean, we're hopeful. It's a good question. I mean, I'm hoping it looks pretty good. I hope he feels good, but we'll know more really by Friday. So full speed tomorrow and Friday he'll go through and then we'll see if he can go.
It's just
you said full speed tomorrow. That's when you'll find out. Mahogany, Kirby. That's when you'll find out.
I don't think there's a world, by the way, like, I understand, like, I know you had mentioned when Mahogany went down, like, hey, he wasn't that great anyways. Like, I think Mahogany's not great is better than Tristan Cologne's great by, like, 10, like, a lot. And even I think Miles Frazier right now, because I think Miles Frazier's still getting his feet wet. I think he has, like, big moments, and he's been good. But I still think, like, Christian Mahogany, who's played in, I don't know, 10-plus probably NFL games now started, he probably has a pretty good feel, you know?
Yeah, the reason I said that was I think when he went down, people were like, well, he's coming back at some point. And my whole point was Christian Mahogany's still a young player. He was shaky when he was playing. He had ups and downs. That's still the type of player. I mean, he's not like Kevin Zeitler where you know what you're getting, or these 5-7 year pros where they're borderline Pro Bowlers. Like Mahogany's still a young guy. And he's going to have moments where you're like, oof, that's tough. Yeah. Just like he did to start the year. And he's coming off an injury. So again, but you're spot on. Is it better than what you're getting in Cologne with Cologne? Yeah, absolutely. Much better. You know, it would be nice if he could return this week, but even if he does it, just to have him for the next 2 games. I mean, he started last year against the Bears and was really good.
I mean, he was good this year in some spots. I feel like you've gone at him a little bit. I think it's just like there are big moments to where we had an expectation. Listen, I think the Lions fans had an expectation where the offensive line has been for the last 2 or 3 years, right? Start the year, obviously, it was disappointing. I think, and him and Graham if you rank them, Graham's probably at the bottom, and then it's like Christian Mahogany's probably the next worst. But like I think over the last couple of weeks, you got to see a little bit more, like especially this Rams game. How like, dude, the amount of times we saw Tristan Colon get absolutely blown up, and then I don't know, he looked at what a 40-something or a 30-something PFF grade. Like he was terrible. So yeah, I think I think you're going to be a little bit shocked if he does come back this week. There's going to be a little bit of an improvement, even though he's coming off the injury. I think he's an upgrade.
Yeah, he is an upgrade. He is. And Miles Frazier's, you can't experiment right now. I mean, you just can't. And I want to see more of Miles Frazier, but you can't risk giving up snaps, especially when Mahogany comes back. I mean, you just need your best.
You have to win. Like you don't have there's no.
What did Dan Campbell say? Margin for error? None.
It's gone. Must win, must win,
error.
must win, must win, he says.
There's no margin for error. I was watching the Jared Goff and Aiden Hutchinson press conference that just came out, or the media scrum they just posted. And I know they're sick and tired of getting asked the same questions. I mean, but it's the reality when you are where you're at. You're 2 games above 500. You're going to get asked about must wins and having faith this team could still win. But I love the question. I don't know who asked it, but it was essentially, this Pittsburgh Steelers team, they bully people. Do you guys think you can bully them or something like that? And they're like, I hope so. I think like Aiden Hutchinson was like, well, yeah, I would hope so. We have to, I mean, if we want to win this game, we're going to have to bully this team. Like, I don't like, it's like, they're probably just like, dude, the fact that we're going to ask these questions, whether or not we can bully a team or do we think we can bully a team around in the trenches when they haven't been able
they
to
probably hate it. They probably despise some of these questions.
I won't say that. Goff today had an interesting response. I think he realized, not fully, but I think he thought about what he said at 97.1 to take it, because he had an answer. They asked him, I think Brad Galley actually said it, but he said, yeah, Dan Campbell says he's sick and tired of being asked about whether this team can respond after a loss. Do you kind of agree with that sentiment or something along those lines? I'm paraphrasing. And Jared Goff was like, well, yeah, no, I agree. But again, he said, if we don't want to get asked those questions, we can't be in the spot we're in, like he pretty much, he was way better about his response for sure.
Jared is, I'll tell you what, Jeff, like I don't want people to think you're, what did Easy used to call me, a golf gobbler? You used to call me that all the time too. I'm going to gobble for a second. It's not, a lot of people don't like Jared Goff because we're losing. I think Jared Goff's been incredible on the field. I know off the field, he said that stuff pissed him off. Fans pissed him off, whatever. But like, this guy is good in the media. Like, for him to respond to the media, like he is like the ideal like franchise quarterback. Like, and he plays that part like to a T. And it's like like this is what people are like, oh, trade for Joe Burrow. Like Klotz all the times, like, you're not going to win with Jared Goff. Like, trade him, go get Joe Burrow. Like, yeah, okay, I can see that. There's probably like 4 quarterbacks in the NFL right now that can probably do better than Jared, or do what Jared Goff does. Like, and if you just move on from Jared Goff, man, you know how hard it is to find a guy like him again? Do you know how hard it is?
Mm-hmm.
It's the chances of that happening are so low. So low.
Yeah, Jared Goff's consistent with his when he talks to the media. I mean,
it pumps me up, man. Like, it really does.
It's like, when anybody probably in the chat, you play 2K, you get the 2 options. It's like team answer or selfish answer. And you get like team chemistry for the team answer every time. You get to talk to the media in 2K when you're my player or whatever. Jared just always hits that team. He's just always hitting that team answer.
And he performs.
He's always just going, yep, do what's best for the team.
Dude, he is literally like a top 6-7 quarterback in the NFL.
What?
Nothing. He's a top 7 quarterback in the NFL.
What's wrong with that?
I said, no, I just said he's a top 6-7 quarterback. I keep doing it. I keep saying it. I just keep saying it. And I'm not meaning to. It's just like John F. Lord said, everyone crunch text Jeff.
Yeah, that's not English. I don't know what that is.
Did your number get leaked?
No. Imagine.
Would you be mad if your number got leaked?
I mean, yeah. Who wouldn't be?
That's fair.
I mean, I do give my number out to people. I mean, I don't have a problem doing that. I'm not weird about it. But yeah,
there
if
are
you had random
people
blowing your phone up, yeah, wouldn't that be?
Yeah.
That would.
There are people who have watched our show who have my number, but if it got leaked out to everyone, that would be tough.
Yeah.
Oh
That's,
no! What if Doc doxed you your number?
That'd be messed up. That'd be messed up.
I don't think people would even be able to guess my area code. It's that far off.
*67. I don't know. What's Emily City? That's a good question.
It's not Emily City. It's the 8. Emily City is the 810.
By the way, but at 810, that's the thing too. 810 covers a lot. It's like
it's basically like Flint area. Yeah.
It's they have, I think it's like St. Clair, I'm pretty sure too. Pretty sure. Or Elgin, or there's another one. Oh, by the way, I want to play this before we get the doc on. Dan finally answered about David Montgomery.
Yes.
He was asked about David.
I don't know how I feel about this, by the way.
Sounds like it's just it didn't sound like it was too much of a, I don't know. Yeah. Let's just listen to it. Yeah. No. What were you going to say?
I was saying, I wish Dan would just come out and just be like, we're going to get him the rock. Like we will. Like Dan's done that for people. Like he's done that to J-Mo. He's done that for people. I was like watching this today and I was just waiting for the moment for Dan to be like, we're going to get the ball to D-Mont more. Like I know he doesn't want to give game plans away, but I just would hope that like at some point he's just like, I want to hear him say that. Either that or just do it.
This is what he said. Let's take a listen. Here's Dan Campbell on the David Montgomery stuff.
Challenges of getting him more involved, given how good Jameer is. Only one ball to go around.
Well, yeah, I mean, David is a pro. David's a pro. He goes about his business. He handles it. And I know that's not easy. It's not easy. I mean, you're a guy he's a damn good back. And, every good player wants their chance to help the team win and get some production. So I know it can't be easy. I know it's not easy, but he's a pro. He handles his business and goes about it. And whenever you call his number, he's ready to go. And it's something I think about a lot, is how do we get them all involved? He's one of those when they're all involved, we're just better. We're a better offense. And, where do we get him touches? Where do we find them? And, so I think about him a lot.
That was a very different answer than what he gave Jim, huh? Yeah. It was a different answer than what he gave Jim Costin when Jim asked, what would you do, Jim? He was kind of joking, but this time he sounded more serious. Like, there's no denying we're a better offense when we get him the ball. And then if Jim asks, he's like, well, who would you give the ball, Jim, or to Jim? Jameer,
Jim said more Gibbs. I love Costa too. He does a great job. And he supports the boys. But if I was him, I would have said D-Mont. I think
he was coming off that 200-yard game too. So it's like,
oh, okay. That's
or
right. I still would have said D-Mont. You know me. Give the rock to D-Mont a little bit more. How did you feel about that, what he said? Because I kind of took it a weird, I don't know. Like I kind of mixed emotions because he's like, the weird part is like when you start saying a guy's a pro, like that's when you're kind of trying to make him feel better, knowing you might not.
Well, it's what you say about, not that it's this bad, but it's usually what a coach will say about a guy who got benched. Like he's handling it like a pro.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like in our industry. It's like, hey, if they take you off your show or, you get moved and you get bumped down in a company, they're going to be like, if they're asked about it, hey, he's a pro, man. He's handling it well and he's working his tail off on the back end. It's
which is not. It's
not what you want to hear.
You probably would have preferred we love Monty. There's no doubt we got to get him more involved. He's a big part of this offense. He kind of said that at the end. We're a better offense with Monty, obviously, but he's not going to say fully as a head coach facing the Steelers, we're going to get him involved this week, obviously, because then they'll game plan for him. So I get kind of schematically, maybe game plan wise, not giving away too much, but The reality is they have to get him more involved. I mean, we already went through the numbers yesterday. He's been really good lately. The numbers indicate that. He's a good change of pace back. He's what makes you look at this Lions offense last 2 years. It's what's made them so great. Having two backs that are different but very good. Yep. They can both get you in different ways. And I think it pissed Monty off getting, even though he scored last week, he kind of got like a garbage time touchdown. I mean, he was barely used. They just threw him in there.
Wildcat.
Yeah. Which, I mean, he scored, but you could tell I was just kind of like, all right, I'm just going to come and score here. I mean, he hasn't been getting used. Like that Browns game earlier this year. I remember the Browns game. They used him in garbage time. They gave him like 5 or 6. They gave him a handful of carries in garbage time when the Browns stacked the box because the Lions are up. When you're up, what do? You run the ball.
Yeah.
And so other teams do what? Stack the box. So they used Monty when they were up and teams were stacking the box. So he gets like nothing. And you could tell after that he was pissed off. It's just been a thing all year, man. And then you had one game where they really used him. 2 games, maybe 3 games actually. But I remember the Ravens. I remember the Commanders where they used him a lot. And then the Bengals, they really used him a ton. But other than that, it's been spotty all year. Just feel like they haven't really gotten to Monty as much as they should. Yeah, and he's still a good player. We saw him in training camp. He looked really good.
I think it's crazy, too. I'll say this with the DeMont stuff, too. This is, I think, in my opinion, like this season, I think with the Lions and with Dan especially, I just don't think they haven't had one game compared to the last 2 years, and especially the last year of DeMont and Jahmyr Gibbs. There hasn't been 1 week that I can remember where I felt like both of these backs had a good game together. Like both of them had big days. To where in years past, like last season, I mean, there was games where DeMont, would have 100 all-purpose yards and Jahmyr would have 100 all-purpose yards. And you're sitting there going, and they would each have, 4 or 5 touchdowns. They've had games this year together where they've both scored touchdowns, but there wasn't one where, you see one go off for 150, another one going off for 9. Like, unless it's happened 1 or 2 times, but it hasn't felt like that. And I think the problem is, like with Dan, at least in my opinion, is since Dan Campbell's taken over play calling, he's been the one that's gone away from Monty. Like, it wasn't like Dan's taken over play calling and went all in on Monty. Dan Campbell, when did he take over play calling? Washington. DeMont had 15 carries in versus Washington, right? 15 carries for 71 yards. The next 5 weeks of Dan Campbell play calling, he had 6 carries, 5 carries, 8 carries, 6 and 7. Like, Dan hasn't given him those opportunities. And I get what Dan's saying today. Like, I'm trying my best to get everyone involved. Like, I see what he's trying to do because, again, he is a first-time play caller with this offense. He didn't have all summer like John Moran to prepare with them and in play calling. So he's probably getting the hang of it. But I do think it's one of those things where it's like, man, you go away from DeMont, it changes the offense. Like, Jahmyr Gibbs is a little as good as he is, and he's one of the best top 3 backs in the leagues. He is inconsistent when it comes to the run side of things. Like, he is. And I think that's just a fact. Like, he can't run between the tackles sometimes as good as DeMont. DeMont will bully his way into 4 or 5 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs will get stuffed, and he'll have those games where he gets 3 yards a carry, 2.5 yards a carry, and he's disappointing. And then he has these games where he's incredible and gets 300 total yards, and that kind of writes off those other games. I think you have to – I just think like last year, Jeff, you look back at DeMont's performances last year. DeMont had 4 games total, Jeff, in single-digit carries. 4 total. That's it. 4. Only 4. The rest, double digits, and he was out there. He averaged over 4 yards a carry last season. And this year they just refuse. I don't know what it is, man. They refuse. He's averaging more yards a carry this year, actually. He averaged 4.2 last year. He's averaging 4.7 this year. So he's having a better year running the ball. He's just getting way less carries. And it's like a significant amount of less carries.
Well, the issue, you see what the Rams do now with Blake Corum. Kyron Williams is an incredible back. He's averaging almost basically 5 a carry. Kyron is in LA. He's 12th in the league in carries. So they lean on Kyron a lot. He's had double-digit carries in every single game for the Rams. And then here comes Blake Corum. The start of the year, he had, a couple carries here, a couple carries there. You look over the last 6 weeks with Blake Corum, he's gotten 11 carries and 12 carries his last 2 games. They're riding the hot hand with Blake Corum. He's had he had more carries than Kyron in a couple games, and now the Rams we're like, hey, we got a two-headed monster. Blake Corum's averaging 5.5 a carry. He's playing really well, so now he's getting basically the same workload at times as Kyron, even though Kyron's
just going every other possession. That's what it was this last week.
And he torched the Lions. Like, that's where I think you can be like, hey, we have Jameer, and I think Jameer's an incredible player. He's so good. But the thing with Jameer is he's a home run hitter. He can make things happen, right? That's what he does. He's obviously a better pass catcher, even though Demont's not a bad pass catcher. He's shown it. But Demont, I think overall, though, from quarter 1 to quarter 4, you see he's more consistent. He might not have these massive home run plays, but he is more consistent. That's why it's good having them together, because if Jameer's maybe having a game where he's struggling, do you know Demont's going to at least get you something a carry? You know, he falls forward and gets a yard or two. He's just always going to move the chains a little bit. Like Jameer, to me, as of late, it has been home run or bust, essentially. And I think that's where you need to work in Montgomery a little bit, because he can help you out in that area. You see it. You've seen it the last couple of years.
Like those 3 and outs in the third quarter versus the Rams, my guess would be those don't happen if you're going Demont, at least in one of those. Which you didn't. Not in one of those. I went back and looked. There was just no David Montgomery in those 3 and outs. There wasn't. And that's where I think you get to a point where it's like, man, this is disappointing. Like, at least get back. And another thing it does too, it forces a defense to game plan for both. Because because you're going every other possession essentially versus a different running back. Demont a little bit of a different style. Like, it forces them to have to, like Don Shula last week would have had to
Chris
game
Shula.
plan. Yeah, Chris Shula. Don Shula's his pops, right?
Legend, yeah.
Legend. But Chris Shula, man, that's crazy. I said Don Shula. How about that, dude? Shout out Don Shula, man. But you have to game plan for both of those guys, man. You do.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's been,
But now they just know, just game plan for Jameer and you're good to go.
It's like Dan, it kind of goes back. It's like Dan Campbell with the 4th down. People make jokes. It feels like Dan Campbell with Gibbs. It's like he could crack one for 95 here, or 80 yards. And it's like, just one more. Give him one more. Give him one more carry. Rather than Demont, it might not be that, but Demont's going to get you 4, 5 here. Maybe he gets you an 8-yard run. Like, it's a lot more of a slow grind. It feels like Dan is just like, man, we're going to get one here with Gibbs, and it just didn't come, And again, Gibbs is incredible, but they got to work in Monty here. They just do.
For sure.
They absolutely do. By the way, before we get the doc on, I got to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper, and then we'll talk to the DOC. We'll see you in a minute. I've interrupted the show to tell you about our friends over at Sleeper, and specifically Sleeper Picks. It's very simple. You go on the app and you choose more or less than different players and their predicted stats. You can do it pregame, live, or across different sports. I have mine for Lions Steelers on Sunday, which you guys can tail. It's very simple. I have 4 picks for you guys. The first one, Aaron Rodgers, more on his passing yards against the secondary. They haven't been playing very good. And I also have more on DK Metcalf's receiving yards. Again, ties into that secondary. We've seen wide receiver ones for other teams go off against the Lions. It's been consistent. And I'm going to rock with Jahmyr Gibbs on the Lions. I'm going to go more 0.5 touchdowns. I think he gets in on Sunday. And I'm going to go more on the rushing yards for Jahmyr Gibbs. Use the code CT Sports. Go have some fun on Sleeper. It's one of the fastest growing, organically growing fantasy sports apps in the entire world. And Sleeper Picks is just as fun. Now, appreciate Sleeper as always for sponsoring. Now let's get back to the show. Let's bring on our good friend, publisher of Detroit Lions on Sports Illustrated, host of the Lone Wolves podcast. Now he's on YouTube. He's doing it all. John Maakaron, the DOC. How we doing, Doc?
Beautiful day. What did I tell you? Didn't I tell you Matthew Stafford was going to throw an awful interception? Didn't I tell you?
You said to Jack Campbell.
Perfectly.
You're wrong.
Perfectly until halftime. And then the Rams turned on the Jets and they out-schemed the Detroit Lions. It was unbelievable. It was, hey, listen, we had what we wanted for 30 minutes, but truly that game kind of highlighted the talent disparity between the Rams and the Lions for sure.
Hey, real quick before we get to, by the way, Doc, appreciate the $1, Doc.
Wow.
look at Doc. He don't say that. Hey, the Doc.
Is that the real Doc account?
Yeah, that's the John Maakaron account. Steve Lehman, appreciate the 5. He says 86 of Gibbs carries are 2 or less yards, 26 carries account for 36% of Gibbs total yards. Hefe, I sent you all this info. You know what? I'll ask you this, Doc, to start off here. You were there. You got to talk to Dan Campbell today. What the hell's going on with this Jahmyr, David Montgomery stuff? What's kind of your take on it? Because Jahmyr Gibbs is obviously incredible, but it seems like you're missing a guy in D-Mont who's just been consistent with this team. But what's kind of your take on it, Doc, with the carry load here?
Yeah, the numbers are so weird. In the losses, David Montgomery actually has a better yards per carry average than Jahmyr Gibbs. It's a wild situation. I just think that at surface level, David Montgomery is not being utilized as he was last year. He's not as productive. He's on pace for the lowest amount of carries and rushing yards of his career. So obviously, it's a interesting dynamic because I think everyone's in love with the evolution of Jahmyr Gibbs, but it comes at a cost in that the mouth to feed that is not getting taken care of is David Montgomery. It's unusual because I think there's a healthy balance here where you're not going to give David Montgomery the same amount of touches and carries as Jahmyr Gibbs. Gibbs is an explosive threat. He's doing more out of the backfield. He's a first-round pick. That's just the way it is, guys. That's how football works. If you're a first-round pick, you get the love. That's just the way it is. But I don't think it's wrong to say that David Montgomery should get 10 to 15 carries and see if he can get those tough yardage. And, I understand that, certain situations happen where you stall out in the second half. And by the time you get going, by the time you get the ball again, and you're already down 10 points. So it takes them away from it. So that game against the Rams, a little bit of an outlier. But throughout the whole year, I think everybody's right. David Montgomery, I thought, was part of the success that the Lions had last year. And I think they could utilize him so much more in this offense. And I do think that what people are saying is fair. Use them in two running back sets, have a little bit more dynamic. Here's the thing. If you just turn on the film against the Rams, all you got to do is mirror what the Rams were doing in their run game versus what the Lions were doing. Did you see the difference? That was exotic. That was opening holes in different spots. That was taking advantage of a scheme. The Lions was a little bit predictable in their running attack, and clearly the defensive line of the Rams took advantage of the Lions' offensive line. So it's a myriad of things, but I do think at the basic level, you could use David Montgomery a little bit better. And I do think that part of the reason is you flashed those great offensive numbers as I was watching. Did you see the number that stood out offensively? Third down percentage is average. You're not extending drives. That would help, is if you could get more opportunities and more offensive plays, you have more of an opportunity. So it's a big puzzle they got to figure out. But yeah, it's wild to think about too. It's also wild to look at this number. The Lions have not won a game this year where each game that Gibbs scored a touchdown, they won. Each game he did not score, they lost. So it's just weird to look at, but you guys are right. And I think the question has been asked. I think Dan finally answered it today because he knew he was going to be asked it multiple times. This was not the second time he was asked. It was the third. I opened the subject first. I asked Dan Campbell about a month ago, hey, after the Eagles game, why didn't you use him in some short yardage situations? And he said, he started with me one sentence. We always want to get David Montgomery more carries. Then the second time on the radio, and then the third time, he's like, okay, fine. By the third time, you guys need an answer. So, and basically he went to David's reaction, which was, hey, man, and you guys saw that post, stay patient from David Montgomery. He was like, stay calm, 5. And I'm certain he's not really thrilled with how he's being utilized.
Yeah, Doc, I do want to ask you, just in this last game, obviously versus the Rams, the loss. Well, I think one of the biggest questions or arguments that I was getting with people about was kind of where do you place the blame on that loss? Was it the offense, defense? I want to get your thoughts on that because I had said, and I was going back and forth with Easy about this over text a little bit, and he was like wanting me to give up a certain percentage to the offense. But in my opinion, just the offense, they give you 30-plus points in that outing, and the defense gave up 40. I think you can give a certain percentage of blame to the offense in the third quarter, but it just felt like as a whole, all game, the defense just wasn't getting it done. Where did you stand on that game, kind of in the blame of losing a one-possession game that, could have, if you win that game, it changes potentially your whole season?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question. How much blame do you assign? Well, first of all, clearly the offense did stall. But when the offense stalls, you expect the defense to pick up the pace, and they didn't. So to me, it's 60-40 defense. Clearly, they gave up too many explosive plays. Guys, if you guys, I don't know how much time you spent. Today was a day I had an opportunity because Dan Campbell ran a later session. I wrote some stories. I messaged you, Booner, and I watched some film. And oh my goodness, the Lions were out-schemed. They were out-schemed. Devontae Adams was able to get in the spots properly. The Rams used play action in the second half. They were able to take advantage of all the mismatches. The Lions tried zone, man-to-man. Nothing worked. And first and foremost, the 13 package that the 13 personnel that the Rams use is so good with the tight ends. They took the Lions edge rushers out of the game. They were forced to use their linebackers and corners to try and stop things, and it didn't work. So, man, first of all, you just got to sit there and you got to clap for Sean McVay. He outworked Kelvin Shepherd. Clearly, bottom line, the scheme that you saw from the Rams offense put every weakness on display for the Lions. You had Aleem McNeil. Guys, Aleem McNeil recorded no sacks, no stats. That is unheard of. That's unreasonable. And so when your best players, Aleem McNeil and DJ Reed, are your two worst PFF graded players, that's a problem. It was just a total debauchery. It was wild to see the Lions not be able to stop the run in a way because it was out schemed. The way in which the offensive line was getting into the, pushing back and getting into the linebackers was amazing. They basically, the simple way to put it is wherever they wanted a gap to be open, they found a way to do it. It was unbelievable blocking. It was nice to see from the Rams. Unfortunately for the Lions, they couldn't adapt, and there was just an open lane for Blake Corum and for Kyron Williams. It was just simply created by the scheme. This is what would benefit the Lions if, hey, wink, wink, steal that from the Rams. Steal what you just saw from the Rams. That was nice. Steal it, John Morton. Steal it right away. That was nice. It was scheme. It was pure scheme and execution. First of all, let's credit the Lions for the first half. That first half was executed perfectly. You had Stafford, the guy who was going to throw an interception to you, no doubt about it, because I told you. But then he cleaned up his act. I was like, darn it. That was the cosmic football universe just laughing at me because I was excited. When he threw that pick and Aiden was running, I was like, that's the guy. That's the guy you guys all forgot. That's the guy. That was classic Matthew Stafford. Now, in a game like that, with the Lions, he never was able to recover. Now, when he's got all these all-pros and great talent, now he looks like an all-world quarterback. Well, good for them. But that's not what happened. Here in Detroit, you needed him to play better, and he would throw that pick, and we would end up losing games. So that's why you guys lost, because he would always start the game with some nonsense and couldn't get the team a lead. Well, this Rams team has so much talent that they could withstand a halftime loss. But the defense, guys, far too many explosive plays given up. They were not able to limit Matthew Stafford after the first half. And guys, simply put, the Rams are a better team. Puka Nacua was better. Devontae Adams was, before his hamstring situation, he was doing his thing. And DJ Reed and Amik Robertson were not up to the task in that contest, simply put.
Yeah, I mean, I'll ask just on like the DJ Reed and Amik Robertson, what's going on with these corners, Doc? I mean, DJ Reed come back from injury has not looked like the DJ Reed we saw at the beginning of the year, and Amik Robertson just hasn't looked like himself at all for a while now. You mentioned it, they're giving up explosive plays, but Amik Robertson, we'll get to the injuries in a second, so I won't even ask about that. But just the corner play lately, what the hell's going on with that?
Yeah, that's not the level of expectation we would have, right? Clearly, the Rams were able to get going. Listen, Puka Nacua, that's what he does. He had some contested balls. There were some balls that could have gone either way, but he got them. He's there. Amon-Ra St. Brown. You were looking at, the Lions did adapt. They tried some zone coverages. It just, the Rams were able to, that offense is purring. That offense, when at home, the communication's on point. The route running was crisp. Devontae Adams knows exactly where to go. And it's basically what you guys watch with with Amon-Ra St. Brown and Goff. The connection is unbelievable. It was unstoppable. So in that sense, that's why it stood out. When you have that third quarter offensively, you needed to go toe-to-toe. Everybody kind of knew that the offense that's why the 40% of the blame goes to the offense. The offense in the second half, unfortunately, you get the penalty. That's puts you behind the sticks. You can't do that. And then I think the worst call that Dan Campbell made was 2nd and 15 run call. You can't do that. I think in that game, you might have needed to maybe, he said, and he was asked directly, on Monday, which I thought was a great media session where he was asked a lot of these poignant, direct questions. He said he wanted to keep establishing the run. At some point, you got to kind of confirm to yourself, well, maybe it's not our day to run. And the word I think that is to summarize why the Lions haven't been able to win back-to-back games. The great question I asked today. One of the recipes that we'll probably highlight tomorrow, because I did assign, the reason why I asked it is because we're going to tell you the recipe tomorrow at Lions on SI. The recipe to stack wins will be told to you guys by the great Christian Boer. And hopefully he's got the right recipe. I think he does. But the reason is the Lions don't adapt. Listen in closely to what Dan Campbell said. He said, I still wanted to, in the second half, establish the run. Guys, sometimes it ain't your day. It ain't your day running it. Jahmyr Gibbs was doing nothing. David Montgomery was doing nothing. You realize that, there's opportunities there. But I think in that game, in the second half, I would have went St. Brown and JMO and get after it and mix in Jahmyr Gibbs in the screen game and some intermediate type stuff. I felt like, and at least on 2nd and 15, you got to call a pass play. You cannot call a run play on that down. That ended that first drive. And then it was such a sick, that I don't know how you guys felt, but I was sick watching that. You get that 3-and-out with a penalty with a guy that's just new here. And then you get that the touchdown that wasn't, they would have scored. I got it. But at least the optics of that is just deflating, where nobody in the world felt like that was going to be a touchdown. Everyone thought that, okay, he'd be at the 1-yard line, maybe give your defense a chance to get 3 or 4 stops, maybe a botched handoff, something to give you a chance. I know the odds are long that they don't get the touchdown, but I just felt like it took all the momentum away from the Lions. And then they followed it up with another, probably bad call, was to go deep to JMO. I felt underneath type stuff, get him involved in maybe in a different way. They took the shot. They took a chance. They did pass it deep, but unfortunately it didn't work out. So that was it. That was the story of the game, is that when they turned on the Jets, you fell by the wayside. And that probably is likely a scenario that could happen in the playoffs if you face an Eagles team or a team like the Packers, is when they turn on the Jets, do you have the capability of stopping the momentum? Right now, 50-50 proposition. We'll see.
Yeah, Doc, I do want to ask you real quick, staying on the defense, the safety situation. Now Kirby Brian Branch is out. Your best safety on the field last weekend was Eric Hallett, 10 total tackles, and it felt like he was always on the field and around making plays. He got taken by the Tennessee Titans in the last few days. What are your thoughts with this whole safety situation, how Brad's handled it? I know you weren't planning on, obviously, Brian Branch to, tear his Achilles, but the whole situation with Kirby, they felt like maybe they could get him back, and then it felt like there's no depth really at the safety position, and now they're starting to guys get taken. Like, what do you get? What's your takeaway from this whole thing? Because it feels like a really weird situation that's going on there with that position group as a whole right now.
Well, I don't think it's weird. Guys, remember too, so for those who don't know, anybody at any time on a practice squad is open billing to be poached by another team. So all they got to do, an agent's got to be contacted, and the Titans did have a need. And so also, guys, they don't say it too much publicly, but the Lions highlight guys to give them opportunities. Like, they'll tell guys, hey, you're going to have an opportunity if you can help us, but you at least, because you're going to be 5th and 6th on the depth chart, you'll at least put out some tape for you to get an opportunity. So for Eric Hallett, he's going to have a chance to start. So unfortunately, he's not behind. He's not ahead of Avonte Maddox or Rock Ya-Sin. So there's an opportunity there with the Titans. Now, if I'm Eric Hallett, do you take the chance to play? It is a gamble on himself. You say to yourself, okay, I'm going to play for the final 3 weeks. I'm going to play a lot so I can showcase my film to a lot of teams. So that's fine. That's what NFL players do. In that case, I would have just said, nah, Tennessee, we know what's going to happen. You're going to be probably exposed a lot with a defense that struggles a little bit. So I might have not taken that risk, but in the end, playing time is commodity for a lot of players. Eric Hallett was good, but in the end, they feel like, okay, going into it, Avonte Maddox can do the job, and they added, a couple other safeties as well. So in the end, guys, here's what happens too in the league, which it's justified. Eric Hallett could have been somebody that could have developed here, but in the end, when it's crunch time and it's do or die moments, are you going to trust Eric Hallett, or are you going to trust the the veteran that you just signed in, the two veterans that you added at the safety position. So Eric Hallett, it's one of those deals. It was a numbers game, man.
Well, Doc,
you guys, because the name's not coming to my head, but they added two safeties in the recent weeks. I think because
Jalen Mills and
Jalen Mills. Jalen Mills is a Shepherd guy from LSU. So I think that in the end, coaches like vets a little bit more in crunch time than inexperienced guys.
Can we actually have that conversation too, Doc? Kelvin Shepherd's getting a lot of flack. It seemed like half the year they were playing some pretty good ball at times. And the last couple of weeks, I would say, since the Giants game, they've completely fell apart across all areas. I think injuries, of course, you lose both safeties. But even with Brian Branch, they haven't looked very good. What's going on with Kelvin Shepherd? And right now, with all the statistics, I mean, they've regressed pretty much all across the categories from last year, and they're healthier than they were last year. How would you overall grade Kelvin Shepherd's first year as a DC? And are you in the camp of give him more time, or do you think patience is running out slowly? Do you still have confidence that Kelvin Shepherd's the man here?
Yeah, I would grade him a C+. And first and foremost, against weaker opponents, the Lions have advantages. But listen, last week against the Ram was a PhD final exam. Like, that was elite. McVay picked him apart. McVay won the round, and he won it 10-8. Square in the face. He out-schemed Kelvin Shepherd. The Lions couldn't adapt. DJ Reader actually said it publicly. He said it to the Detroit Football Network. He said they were blocking us in a way that we couldn't figure out. And he said they did something different that we hadn't seen before necessarily on tape. What does that say? He said it publicly. He said, we didn't adapt. At some point you'd want to say, I wonder how Kelvin will address it tomorrow. And it was alluded to a little bit today by a reporter. But at the same token, once you see your running game, your run defense getting gashed over and over, where was the adjustment? Could you adjust? So I do think that in this contest, McVay out-schemed a young, inexperienced defensive coordinator, and he'll learn from it. I do think clearly, guys, it's so tough these days because the game is shifted towards offense. That's why Brad Holmes, J-Mo, that's why he went after Jahmyr Gibbs when everybody's like, get a linebacker, get it. The game is tilted towards the offense. You just need to hold on. But guys, come on. First of all, they struggle against the run because Terry Arnold's gone. He's good against the run. Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, that's three significant players. That's 3 out of 11 players that you were counting on gone. And unfortunately, I do think the mistake that was made, and it might end up being costly, is I think, you know what, in the end, if in this day and age, guys, I hate to say it this way, but I only want my corners to be 6'1" and physical and above. So if Carlton wanted the $20 million, I would have gave it to him. I feel like he did a lot of things and was kind of underrated by a lot of people. And unfortunately, of course, the last month of the season, he's out. But that wasn't his fault. I mean, he got injured. He's playing football. But I feel like Carlton Davis is a little bit better for what the Lions need than DJ Reed. And of course, he gets a hamstring injury. And I think his confidence maybe is a little bit not where it needs to be. He hasn't made that many plays with the Lions. So you didn't upgrade the spot. You didn't upgrade that position. You kind of tried to patchwork it and get a lateral move here, but you need it basically better. And this is where it stinks that Ennis Rakestraw's not there. Terry Arnold's not there. And also, guys, you have to admit, you have to say it. If you look at it, you're missing 4 or 5 guys on defense. Those depth pieces could be one player that's not playing, which you can't afford in this day and age in the NFL. Mekhi Wingo is missing. Where's Mekhi Wingo? You see him anywhere? Is Mekhi Wingo there? Is he there in the studio? That's a draft pick. You can't have draft picks be healthy scratches. That's not good in year 2. You need as many bodies as humanly possible. And as long now the 24-25 draft, outside of a couple pieces, have not helped this football team. So it's a combination of things. The injuries are huge. The inconsistent pass rush, which was okay against Stafford. But guess what, guys? Here's the thing. It sucks, but the Giants expose how to expose your defense. And now every team's trying to do it with opening up gaps and explosive plays. They figured out, here's how we can attack the Lions and get them out of their rhythm with our schemed up routes. So you got to try and stop it. But good luck. Now it's another test because the Steelers also operate 13 personnel. Let's see if they've learned something. But it's inconsistent. It's an inconsistent defense, and this is the hallmark of when you have a new coordinator that's trying to figure out the best way to put the players in the best position. We can say clearly that against the Rams, the roster was not put in the best position to succeed. And I think the argument's fair that playing man-to-man to the degree that the Lions are with those corners and that pass rush, I said it on a radio interview early today, the marriage is broken. The marriage needs counseling. The marriage needs to call the doc because there is no marriage between pass rush and coverage in the last month of the season. So they got to figure it out real fast.
Yeah, there's no marriage. I mean, the biggest thing people are bringing up right now is, within the defense is what you're talking about, but also the run defense, which is uncharacteristic, led by Aleem McNeil. It seems like Roy Lopez has been their best defensive tackle, Doc, at least consistently. Aleem's shown things, and he's shown flashes, but over the course of since he's come back, they keep pumping up Roy Lopez, and Aleem McNeil's kind of been MIA. I guess I'll ask you, and we'll get into a Brad conversation in a second because I really want to ask you about Brad Holmes and just kind of the job he's done. But just with Aleem McNeil, what has kind of been your thoughts or at least evaluation of how he's played and compare that to the money he's making, Doc? Because you know this, when guys get paid, expectations increase, and he's not living up to it right now.
Right. And look, I'm a keep it simple guy. Aleem is a 3-tech. Stop playing him at 4-eye. Stop playing him at the edge. I know you want to get Lopez and you want to get Tyleik Williams. Defensive tackles play defensive tackles. It's just you're giving up too much size. You're not getting any pass rush out of Aleem McNeil. That's not what he's known for. So I get it. You want to maximize everybody's usage and try different things, but him at defensive end is not going to work all that much. Play him at defensive tackle, figure it out. And look, you're not going to get the best version of Aleem McNeil until next season. That's just what happens after ACL injury. You're coming back. You're trying to do the best you can. It wasn't his best game. I do expect him to rebound. But collectively, it's not all his fault. DJ Reader also had a bad game against the Rams, and it was schemed. It was unbelievably challenging for what the Lions are going to do. Roy Lopez is a role player. He's solid. He definitely gets into the line of scrimmage, can fill gaps, but you don't want him to be your starter. Ideally, you'd need Tyleik Williams, but he's a rookie. He's made a lot of mistakes. And what happens is you get blocked out of gaps. It's simple. Great offensive lines and great schemes open up different gaps in a variety of different ways. And the Lions were all over the place in their run defense, and it wasn't proper, and gaps were just opening up. And that's where the creases were opened up for Blake Corum and for Kyron Williams to be able to expose the Lions defense. So I would expect that moving forward, the Lions will adapt and hopefully play Aleem McNeil more to 3-tech and figure it out and, get it back to, and that's, listen, I get it that these guys go scheme specific. They say, well, based on this matchup that you need to do this against 13 personnel and try to do this and this. Listen, pin your ears back and play Al-Quadin Muhammad more, mix in Davenport, mix in somebody to do something. Davenport played. It's not, the impact.
You would have never noticed, Doc.
You would have never known he was there. It was unbelievable to see the lack of statistical prowess from the Lions, but it's something that I think also is part of it is that teams know get the ball out quick, and the Rams are one of those teams that can do it. That's what stinks is that, guys, that's what sucks is that I love defense, but you're seeing elite offenses can expose defenses quite easily. But there's not a lot of teams that feature a Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua, and 2 great running backs. So you're okay down the stretch here, and I do think that there is some positivity that I do think that the Steelers and their 28th ranked offense is not going to keep up with the Lions. So I think at least leg 1 of the 3-leg race is going to be great. I think I wonder what's going to happen down the stretch, but I am concerned about that Vikings game because if it was on a full week's rest, no doubt about it, I think the Lions would crush it. Going in on Christmas on a Thursday after a Sunday 4:25 game, all hands on deck. Who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Hey, Doc, can you hear me? I just got back. I apologize. I was using the restroom. I'm having some issues over here tonight. Be transparent. No, I do want to ask you this. And I was actually excited to ask you about this question because Klotz put his video out about how he would rather have I don't know if you saw it, but he would rather have the Detroit Lions miss the playoffs, prove a point to Brad Holmes, and hope Brad changes. What are you laughing at over there, Doc? What's so funny?
Right there. That's a good one.
I read the comment. I read the comment. All I hear is a laugh in my ear, and I'm like, "What's the laugh about?" But Klotz said he would rather have the Lions. He wants them to burn to the ground. Word for word, he wants them to burn to the ground right now in 2025 and miss the playoffs. Me and Jeff are on the side of we don't think that they can make a run in the playoffs, and Jeff even thinks they won't make the playoffs. But we both said we would rather, like, if we had to choose, we would rather them make the playoffs so you're at least in the tournament and have a chance to make a run. Where are you at with that? Like, where does Doc's mind go when you hear something like that? What is your thought process?
Yeah. Now, the funny part was I first of all, credit to Professor Lukas. He looked great in that video. He's like, I'm finally going to have a take, and it's going to be a great one. So here's the thing. I asked that question after the game. I said, you guys even want this team in the playoffs? So my first thought after the game was my initial fan reaction was, man, we're not winning a Super Bowl. We're going to get punked by the Eagles, punked by the Packers, punked by the Rams. Eventually, we are going to face a playoff loss. So I don't want to face it. I was like, I don't want to walk the plank. I don't want to watch that because, as a fan, the worst day of the year is when they lose. So my initial question was just a question to see what the fan base was thinking. And it was good. It was good interaction, good, I'm not going to call it rage bait. You guys think I'm rageful. I'm a guy that smiles a lot. It was just a good, simple check-in, checking the pulse of the fan base. And there is a debate to be had. In my mind, on a global level, if you're not going to win a Super Bowl, getting to the postseason, what does it mean? It's still a good experience. I get it. But, you want to have a chance. And I do think that, there's like a flicker of hope, but it's like 3%, 5%. That you get, first of all, you get to the postseason, maybe something you get lucky. Maybe you get the Packers, and now that, they have the situation going on with Micah Parsons, and they're dealing with a bunch of injuries. Okay, maybe you get a lucky upset there. And then maybe one of those teams, I feel like the Seahawks and 49ers are better than you. And I just feel like you would be the worst team in the playoffs. So I don't want to see a curb stopping. I don't want to see a close game that they end up losing. So to me, I'm not like, for me, and I think you guys, anybody that listens to the Lone Wolves podcast, I emotionally detach from this season in terms of the Super Bowl goals after the Eagles game. I kind of felt like, you're not at the caliber of some of these great teams. You don't have enough horses, and you just are a team that struggles to adapt, and the opportunities are better for some other teams. But now that some time has passed, you realize, okay, Steelers, not that great. J.J. McCarthy, you maybe can get revenge on him and play well defensively. But who knows if then, the biggest problem with the Lions is they got to put it all together. Offense, defense, special teams consistently. On short rest, it's just fumes. So, okay, let's say you win, those two, and then you're in a winner take all. Can you imagine if the storyline ends up being that you got to go to the Bears on January 4th and have that be a winner take all game, and then they beat you? That would be horrendous, the horrendous way to lose. But if you win that game, maybe the momentum of stomping Ben Johnson and maybe ending his season might be enough to get you through. It's happened before. It's not out of the realm of possibility, but you can't predict that as a professional. You just say that this Lions team has holes. They can, if they finally put it all together. That's what I'm trying to say, is that Dan Campbell's kind of been giving cliche answers. He answered my question in a way that is, standard coach speak, is one game at a time. But there has to be some recipe for this team to kind of stack wins. How do they do it? And I don't know, because when you plug one hole, two more open up. But of course, getting into the postseason is valuable. Anything can happen. You're at least watching your team. But I just don't know how far they could advance. 1 win, 2 wins. To me, it's all or nothing. And I think most of us can reasonably surmise that this team is not winning the Super Bowl. But listen, your brain should tell you want this team to be in the playoffs, at least have a chance, take a gamble, but it's a long shot. It's a long shot gamble. You're going to the final table of a poker tournament with the lowest amount of chips, and the big dog is just going to pound you. The big dog in chips is just going to raise with 4-8 all day long, and you got to wait your spot to get your good cards. And if they don't come, you could be one and done in the playoffs easily.
Doc, I'll ask you just for the fans, because they want to know stuff like this. Injury updates. We checked the injury report today. Obviously, Kirby did not go. It was kind of a walkthrough today. You'll find out more. But you can kind of give your opinion on what you think happens with Kirby. I think he goes on IR pretty soon. I have no confidence he's going to continue playing this season. But Christian Mahogany, updates with some players that are currently hurt. Meek Robertson, what's going on with the Meek? It was apparently reported he had a hand injury in that Rams game. Can you just kind of give the people the overall injury report update for Lions fans going into the Steelers game?
No doubt about it. The doctor report is in. Let me tell you what I know. We saw Amik today with the club on his hand, but he says he's not sure if he's going to play with it, but he is most likely foreshadowing to play. So that's a good sign. Today was a walkthrough, which is, basically giving the team a little bit of an extra chance to rest because they came in late on Monday. So it's maintenance too for their bodies because they got a quick turnaround. So Christian Mahogany is hopeful to play. That's a good sign, but he's got to go through practice. He's got to get physical and get after it, and the coach staff wants to see it. Dan Campbell's hopeful. So I do think that gives the team an opportunity to potentially play him over Cologne and Frazier, and you get some consistency. Maybe that helps David Montgomery a little bit more to have a stable offensive line, because it was interesting to hear TJ Lang speak on the flagship to say, hey, that he's not a fan of an offensive line rotation. It doesn't give guys rhythm, and there's opportunities for more risk. And I was like, that's interesting. But hopefully Mahogany's healthy and maybe gives you a little jolt that can maybe keep your offense rolling against a team like the Steelers. So that's that. Unfortunately, the biggest question mark is Kirby Joseph. It's unfortunate because it made a jovial guy turn sour. I mean, I messaged you guys last week and I said, man, Kirby did me dirty. And I was like, man, you can at least tell me no. But in the end, he's sour. He's not happy. And guys, clearly he's not mad at me. He's mad that he's not practicing. He's mad that football has been taken away from him for 8 games. You know how much, half the season he's not playing, and he's watching his team win a game, lose a game, win a game. And he knows that he's a big part of that defense. He would have changed that whole defense when he was out there. He's opportunistic, can get turnovers. So he's not in the best of moods. And it's unfortunate to see a player like that battle. And I am in agreements with you, Jeff. I think that this season might not end up being, and if he does come back, how long is he going to last? It's so gross, man. It's so sick, especially coming off of a week where Micah Parsons tears his ACL, Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL. It's wild. But, in the grand scheme of things, Dan Patrick did an overall look and saw the report. The total number of ACL tears are down. Last year it was around the high 30s. This year it's right around 30. So, we'll see if it ends up being that high. But in years past, there were 45 players, 50 players that had ACL tears. So it's just tough, because the Lions have been hit with injuries so much that it's just a word that brings everybody down when we talk about injuries and where this team is at, because most people believe that a healthy Lions team, if you could just get any sort of injury luck, where are the football gods in the luck? Last year was supposed to be this way. You lose Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph, Terry and Arnold, and Sam Laporta, 4 players. I mean, that's why I shudder at people that write, well, it's how do you lose 4 players and then just tell everybody it's easy to win the next 3 games? That's a little bit disrespectful to the 4 players that you lost. It's easy. Oh, guys, 94% if you win the next 3 games. Guys, do you actually have to win the next 3 games? That's why we keep asking Dan, you don't lose back-to-back games, but this year you don't win back-to-back games. So the theory would go, you beat the Steelers and lose to the Vikings. So it's unfortunate all the way around, but you're right. But the one thing I will address, I understand people are like, well, why didn't they put him on sooner? The Lions have been able to develop their safeties and get the production that they felt like they wanted out of the safeties. I think that they've done okay, but you could also make the argument that the explosive plays resulting from I think the biggest issue has been the secondary. The 2 cornerbacks are good, but not to the degree that they're shut down, that they can shut down like elite wide receivers. They're going to have an edge. CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Puka Nacua. Oh God, I didn't even say his name. Got to say his name. What's DK Metcalf going to do? He typically struggles against Detroit, but what the heck's going to happen this week? Is he going to go off, or are you going to get, a good performance from this defense? I hope the desperation and a weeks of preparation will help this defense, but my goodness, the injuries to the Lions this year were quite impactful.
Hey, with those injuries, Dak, I want to ask you your thoughts on a big thing this week has been Brad Holmes. That's been a big question, obviously, with the Lions being 8-6. and obviously have been a pretty underwhelming season so far. How would you assess that Brad Holmes could kind of have fixed this going into this year? Where do you think Brad went wrong? Was it depth maybe on the defensive side of the ball? Was it trading, $1 million third-round picks for Isaac Tesla? Drafting, a defensive tackle in the first round after, paying Ali McNeil $100 million essentially? Like, where do you think that this went wrong, and where do you feel like fans should be kind of, what's fair for fans to be mad at when it does come to this Brad Holmes situation right now?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It's a great topic because the general manager is responsible for the roster. Now, just real fast, quick sidebar. The Lions selectively decided, if you guys watched the 5-minute, 30-second 2 interviews with Jared Goff and Aiden Hutchinson, they selectively edited out my question about Sharon Moore. What happened? They edited it out.
Oh, no.
Is that censorship? I don't know how this works. I mean, I do think it's probably smart. The editor's like, I'm going to clip that because we think I wasn't going to share it. It's a question that had to be asked, but I felt like maybe that one could have been left in, but you never know. They didn't want the comment. They didn't want all that smoke that was affiliated with that kind of conversation. Now, back to your question. First of all, as a general manager, we always have to say, Brad Holmes, and I've said this on your air, and I've said it 1,000 times on my podcast. He is credited with being one of the great GMs in Lions history. He took them from the ashes and built them up, but he had high draft picks and he maneuvered. He got good players: Aiden, Panay, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jack Campbell. Now it gets harder when you're drafting in the 20s every round. The last 2 have kind of also highlighted, I think after the first 2 drafts, Brad got a little bit high on his own supply and felt like, okay, I can start taking some chances, because he's like, okay, now we have a roster that we like. Now some of these picks can be developmental guys and we can experiment a little bit. You can't do that. You cannot experiment. These draft picks, especially when you treat them like gold and you're not moving them around to get proven players. Brad answered my question this year, honestly and directly, because I asked him, I said, in his preseason talk, I said to him, what did you learn from missing directly on Hendon Hooker and Broderick Martin? What did you learn? And he looked at me and he said, listen, we can do all the research in the world. We can interview every draft prospect in the world. We can do all the numbers, all the assessment, all the things we need. In the end, there's still a variable that's in there that we can't control. And he said, that's the definition of risk. So he said, every draft pick is risky. You can do all the work. They might not pan out. Well, what happens is you knowingly have these picks that are risky. You're not trading them for proven players. You're trading around to move up for players that you feel are going to help you. That 23 draft, you should not have gone with Broderick Martin, Hendon Hooker, Giovanni Manu in the following draft. You took too many risks. Mekhi Wingo, that's 4 right there that you need. You need these guys playing that could be helpful. So you can make the argument they waited 1 year too long to address some of these needs in terms of the offensive line, but they are picking back up. But unfortunately, you got some misses. I mean, you could have had Puka Nacua on this team, guys. You could have drafted Puka Nacua. Would have made a super offense, but in the end, it didn't work out. Another pick, unfortunately, Colby Sorsdahl. Those are premium situations, so you can't really have it both ways. As a general manager, you can't sell to the fan base, these are premium assets, yet you're drafting a bunch of projects that have not been able to contribute to your team that needs you, that we need it now. Now is when we need it. We need those 4 players to kind of get in there and do some things. Or the fan base is right, where they say, listen, they're risky. You're taking projects. They're not as valuable as you think at this stage because you already have a veteran roster. Some of these picks are not making the team. Hassanin, Lovett's not contributing much. Jackson got hurt. You're not doing much with them. So move them around maybe to get proven players. Brad loves to move around to get more picks and to get his guy. The pick that is to say this is not, again, an insult to the player, but you didn't need Isaac Tesla. Not this year. You didn't need Tesla. And you could have kept those third round picks to get a player that you need. Now, most of us would have said Jalen Phillips, but it's not our job to pick the right guy. Anybody else, we targeted one guy because we saw him in practice, and that's the guy that ended up with the Eagles. You could have maneuvered and got a lineman. You don't think a team would have traded a second or third rounder for an offensive lineman? It could have happened. So most fans are not happy that you've used these picks to draft projects that aren't helping, and you're not using them to get players that are proven. That's not how winning GMs have kind of done it to a T. Most people would just say, if your mentor F them picks, you probably should do it. And this might have been maybe not the year. And I think, honestly, if you gave Brad Holmes, and I think I've said it, if you gave Brad Holmes a bunch of truth serum, he would tell you guys, like, you guys were right. Two new coordinators. We got a young right guard. We might put him at center. We know that Frank is not here. Guys, come on. Like, we're not going to win the Super Bowl this year, but we're just trying to get by and develop some talent, get Tyreek a little further ahead, get some pieces in place so that we can move on in 2026 and really make a move. But unfortunately, guys, the tough part is I don't see aggression still in the future until I hear from Brad Holmes. I don't see him being aggressive in free agency. Guys, you're going to have to clear $40 million in cap space from restructuring Jared Goff. And at this point in time, I know he's the best quarterback you ever had, but I'm okay with maybe considering drafting a quarterback or looking at some competition for Jared Goff to see what can happen, at least to push him. But at the very least, what you can say from Brad Holmes realistically is that when you have misses starting to pile up, they're not impactful. It's impactful. Everyone, especially when you tell your audience that we value draft picks, draft and develop. Well, you didn't draft and develop Hendon Hooker. You didn't draft and develop Broderick Martin. The development of Mekhi Wingo is far too slow to help you right now. So Sione Vaki is a player that's a special teamer. That there's a role there, but at the same token, you need more impact. And unfortunately, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but you win Super Bowls with talent. Talent. You don't win with guys developing, sitting on your bench, and having redshirt years. It doesn't work like that. You got to draft guys to play now. And you have Tesla. He's playing, but you ain't targeting him. Did you really need him? No. You probably need another defensive lineman. You probably need another cornerback. And unfortunately, it's early, but most people would have targeted last year, this year to be a year to win the Super Bowl. You can't miss on Terry Arnold and Ennis Rakestraw. They got to have more impact than they have. Now, that's great in 2027, but half your fan base is going to be so pissed off that you're not winning that it's not going to be as satisfactory. Most people would have targeted last year, this year as being a year to make runs, but last year's injuries, killed the season. And you still won 15 games, but you didn't win the playoffs. And now this year, unfortunately, when you start making mistakes, this is when you pay for it. They're paying for it right now.
Yeah, the Brad Holmes stuff is we graded him yesterday just based on his entire tenure. And I think, the first couple of years, it was a historic start. I mean, you draft all these great players, the organization's turned around. And then, like you mentioned, the draft has kind of been up and down over the last 2 years. And technically, Doc, they have regressed as a team, technically. I'm not talking about 15 wins. I'm talking about from the NFC Championship to right now. They went from NFC Championship to not winning a playoff game to potentially missing the playoffs. And that's got to be on the GM at some point, at least to some extent.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's where the failure lies, in that you look at it and you say, there are clear needs that the fan base feels that you need. And I think the disconnect is fans probably said, okay, get somebody opposite of Aiden that can be more impactful than what you have. But he'll say, well, he's got 9.5, 10 sacks. But at the same token, you maybe need somebody that has a little bit less sacks, but has them in the biggest moments, that can do some things, but a different style, I think, too, opposite of Aiden. I think philosophically, you could look at it and say, you need a more twitchy speed kind of edge rusher to complement Aiden, to complement him the best, to have a Davenport. Unfortunately, I think too, people are just looking at, you brought back Davenport and you basically have not gotten really anything out of it. And I think people said, if you just would have picked anybody, you would have gotten some confidence from the fan base that you tried to improve the team. I felt like many people are looking at it and saying, man, based on last year's draft, how much did you really improve the team going into this year? And it's unfortunate that it's starting to say, well, it's good you got the right guard in Ratledge, but Tyleik Williams is a rookie. He's developing. He's raw. And Isaac Tesla is not doing much. So this whole draft is not doing a whole heck of a lot. Combined with last year's, that's really, really bad. That's where it's tough, because the puzzle has now kind of started, the window and the puzzle starting not to mix and match properly with how this is all going. Because guess what, guys? This offseason, you're going to start to ask the question, do you pay Jahmyr Gibbs $20 million? I think the answer is yes. I think we're going to start to see some of these guys hit the deck here in terms of some of the draft picks that have been a staple here. You legitimately cannot pay Jack Campbell, Sam Laporta, Brian Branch north of $15 million each. So get ready. It's going to start. I think there's going to be some shuffling going on. And at the very least, I do think Brad Holmes will adapt. He got comfortable with his style of draft and develop, but I think he's going to get hit square in the face that, oh, shoot, free agency and the trades, we have to step it up, because if we don't, then you're absolutely right. Now you're back to being kind of like the Steelers are, where you get to the postseason, but nobody believes you ever have a chance to win it all. You were there last year and this year. And guys, remember, I hate to say it, but I'm not afraid to say it. Your head coach stood up in front of you guys, sad after 2023, and he said, maybe this was our best shot. Young kids, they don't know any better. Raw talent. Not everybody's making money. Are they as motivated? Are they doing all these podcasts? Are they doing all these Little Caesars commercials? Are they doing all these interviews? Might have been young and dumb. Might have been our best chance to get there. And at least this cycle, he might be right.
Well, I want to ask you about the window. Is this, you're alluding to it? What's the window, Doc? Is it closing? Or do you still have faith that Brad can keep this thing extended? Because the window's real. When you have all these rookie deals and you have all these players that are very good playing on these rookie deals and they're set to expire soon, or at least guys are coming up to get paid and you can't pay all of them, technically, unless you draft replacements and they're just as good, if not better players, technically that is your best chance to win a Super Bowl, is it not? With those guys on rookie deals?
Absolutely. You said it. That's why I think Dan said it right then and there, right? Yeah. Raw emotion, young players, hungry, don't know any better, don't have to think about everything. Absolutely. But I will say this, the window's not closed. I am giving one more chance next year with another year with Aiden Hutchinson. I do think they upgrade the defensive end spot. Maybe Hassanin turns into something, that guy. Maybe Wingo does actually get on the field and do something. I expect that this draft coming up is the most crucial draft. No projects, all impact, one, and you attack it all. You got to hit free agency. Unfortunately, now, I'm not going to dismiss the man, but there's always going to be question marks about Jared Goff until he wins it. Like, show me that you can do it and show me that you can win a Super Bowl and be part of a winning Super Bowl team. But you're going to have to get some cap space. You are going to have to restructure his contract, and it'll clear $40 million. You'll probably get another bump in the salary cap. So that's 60. You'll be okay. But guess what? Get used to Jared Goff until the next 4 years. Get ready. He's your quarterback. That's the guy that you're going to have to trust. And so you got to build around him. Now, I am comfortable if they can get a left tackle and maybe Taylor Decker comes back healthy next year. I kind of on paper like the offensive line. Taylor Decker, healthy, hopefully doesn't need surgery, because if he needs surgery, he might retire. He doesn't want to go through that grind of another major surgery. But I'm keeping the positive hopes alive that Taylor Decker comes back. You get Miles Frazier or Christian Mahogany at left guard. And I think that you hope that potentially if you draft a center or you have Tate Ratledge at center, then the other guard, Miles Frazier, I think could do something. He's a big man. And I think he's a find. He's a big man that's agile, can do some things, but he's raw. You got to get him up to speed real fast. I like Mahogany, Ratledge, and Frazier to start. And you always got Penei Sewell. That gives you a good foundation. But yeah, you got to repair that defense. And like everybody said, I joke around, but Doc, you need defensive line help, offensive line help, and cornerbacks. You need to go out and get another cornerback to potentially compete with Ennis Rakestraw. I wonder if they're going to bring back Amik Robertson. He might get a raise somewhere else, so we'll see. but I'm of the opinion you got to repair that secondary, and you got to hope. You got to hope that Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph by the end of the year, by this time next year, when we're talking, you got to hope that they're somewhat close to that duo. We'll see, because Brian Branch just might be returning at this point in time. So we'll see. But the window is not closed, but it ain't opening, guys. It's starting to shut. So last year and this year, it was 80 to 100% open. Now it's down to like 65. So they better get on it, because other teams are getting better and getting better quickly. My goodness.
Hey, do you even think that, like, when the offensive line, I am interested in your thought process on this. Like, I know you just kind of broke down a little bit, like, hey, they need to maybe move Tate over. Would you rather them going into this next year draft for some of those replacements, or would you rather them go into free agency and actually, let's say, like how they got Kevin Zeitler a couple years ago, or let's say how the Chicago Bears just went out and got free agents and traded? Would you rather have them do that and just get guys that you already know could play in the NFL?
Center, yeah. Center, somebody that's established, absolutely. You go out and you get it's the quarterback of the offensive line, somebody that needs to keep Jared Goff upright. You know, for a stretch there, he was pressured and it wasn't stable. So absolutely, you need to find somebody that can also be similar to Frank Ragnow and be able to open up some gaps so that Jahmyr Gibbs can run through it. So absolutely, I think that a veteran center would be great. And then you find any avenue of however you want to assist. I would do the same thing. Veterans are, you know, in my opinion, I think that you probably are going to stay in-house. You know, probably. Could you imagine if they run it back again with Al-Quadin Muhammad? I don't think Davenport's coming back. I do think that they want to introduce Hassanin to see what he can bring to the table next year. But absolutely, I think the draft, you know, on defense, I would say center and cornerback, you want to go veteran, and maybe you spend the money there. But guess what, guys? Here's the problem now. You know, Jack Campbell, I'm not maybe willing to get rid of Alex Anzalone. I think he's a staple of that defense. I think that when you see the play that he's done, you might have to bring him back one more year just to keep this thing stable, because who's going to step up in his place and be good in coverage and against the run? You know, so you don't just replace an Alex Anzalone and everything just gets great. So it's a tough one. Brad Holmes has his work to do. Hopefully he's been studying this draft and studying these college players, because I'm hoping that the reconstruction of this team puts the team in a much better light.
Well, I'll ask you. We'll get right into it, Doc. Steelers game this week. TJ Watt didn't practice. I think he had the lung injury by a team doctor that he sustained. What's kind of your thoughts going into this Steelers game? What do you think of the matchup? It's an older defense. They have talent, but they haven't really played up to their talent level. Old quarterback. It just seems like an older team in general. Sneaky team. You think the Lions take care of them? Where are you at, Doc?
Yeah, no, I think they take care of them. I think that the Lions offense will score quite a bit. Listen, you got to handle the 13 personnel of the Steelers, but listen, Aaron Rodgers should be a sitting target. This is where Aiden can start racking up some sacks. I do think that this football team can take advantage of some of the weaknesses that the Steelers have. They're an 8-6 team. You got to worry about DK Metcalf. I mean, the matchup doesn't favor the Lions there, but it's just one of those deals where, similarly, I think the offense is going to get after it. The Lions know they're desperate at home. They don't lose back-to-back games. I see this game being, you know, a game in which you start to see some excitement. This one is the holiday fest that everyone likes. The one you got to panic about is 4 days later, Christmas, 4:00 game. It's a mental grind. They're not going to practice. They're going to be all walkthroughs next week. You got to, first of all, get out of this game against the Steelers healthy. It's going to be bully ball. I'm a little bit nervous there, you know, because in a physical contest that you need to win, you just need everybody healthy. Please let everybody come away with this. I just want a chance to be able to compete in these last 3 games. At least maybe let us see Dan Campbell versus Ben Johnson for the playoffs. Hell, I'll be in Chicago. Maybe you guys will come with me. Come to Chicago, and we'll watch the Lions and the Bears and see if we can celebrate getting into the playoffs with the 3-game win streak. We'll see. But, guys, that Vikings game scares me. J.J. McCarthy getting a little bit better. You got one of the best wide receivers in the world. Their defensive coordinator knows how to expose your weaknesses. He just did it in your crib. So it's going to be a close contest, and maybe they ruin your season. So I think that it's going to be the Lions 31, Steelers 17.
Wow.
Yeah, Lions. Listen, the Steelers, I think, are a good team, But for an AFC powerhouse, I think in a desperation mode, I don't think they can score at the will. And you got to remember too, Jahmyr Gibbs at home has been okay. You can take advantage of some things there. And I think that Dan Campbell maybe finds that David Montgomery can play well and do some things. Do you really see the Steelers matching toe to toe with the Lions? I feel like the Lions, if they can kick it into gear, I think the Steelers their weaknesses are clearly offensively, and they can fall off. So that's how I think this game is going to go. I think the two games you got to worry about. I mean, it's not easy. 2 games on the road against division rivals. My God, are you kidding me? And you need some help. You need the Packers to beat the Bears, and you need some help. You need the teams above you to lose. You need the Seahawks, 49ers. You need some of those teams to lose to give you more and more of a chance. Please don't let the magic wacky scenario happen. Don't let it be where the Packers and Bears tie and the Lions lose, because that is the only scenario where Sunday the Lions are done, is if they lose and the Bears and Packers tie. Please don't let that happen. But guys, you never know. I mean, Micah Parsons goes down. You never know. You might have gotten a free little pass there into the postseason, but the Packers still are good. They still, I think, have some matchups, even without Micah Parsons, that makes it difficult on the road. Get ready. If the Lions are to make their run, they got to be road warriors. 3 straight playoff games and a Super Bowl. My God. Road warriors. 7. That's 7 straight, potentially. 7 straight. That would be probably, listen, if we can maybe manifest it one time, the negative doc, the guy that's, spitting the football facts today instead of talking about himself. Football gods, if we can do anything, all I want for Christmas, I would give back anything. Anything. Give back all the books, all the articles, all the clicks, all the videos. One time, let us go on a historic run. It'd be historic. A team that never won back-to-back games. The last question on a Wednesday is Doc going, what's the recipe? It starts with the recipe. What's the recipe to win 7 games? Dan gives a coach speak answer, and they go on to win 7 straight games. One time. Let them puff their chest and prove us all wrong. Let Jared Goff stand up there and say, I don't care about all you fans who doubted me. I'm here to represent all the real fans. Let all the real fans puff. I don't care. If they could do it, it would be a magical story. One time, football gods, let the Lions just have it. 7 straight wins. Some luck happens, and maybe you go up against Denver and their inexperienced quarterback flops. One time, make it so that it's a little easier. Let the football gods let this team win. One time, make the calls right for once. At least this game at home. Let's start with this at the basic level. Can you dumbass officials call the game in the Lions' favor? This game is in Detroit. Let me repeat to the officials. In Detroit, call the game properly. I mean, can there be another new way in which the refs can bone us in front of our face? No, not this time. Call the game for the Lions. Let the Lions get some pass interference calls, some holding calls against the Steelers. Let them have some problems, and let the Lions, for once, let them have the magical run. Why not us? Why not the Detroit Lions? Start with the Steelers and go from there. But I have no clue what the recipe is to win 7 games when you haven't won back-to-back in 2 months.
Well, Doc, I guess we'll get right to our mailbag because we have a couple questions here already. SW Line, Doc, I think Hutch has been overused. What do you think about going to a 3-4-4 alignment, rotate the D alignment so they're more rested? I think he means they're 1 to 3 speed rushers every play.
Yeah, no, they've been locked in, right? They haven't adapted much in regards to, their alignments. I'm wondering, I don't think they are, but, I do think, to your point about Hutchinson, I think that, the proof's in the pudding that the pure edge rushers nowadays are playing around 75%. But he's a workhorse. He does not want to leave the field. And he had the issue is against now at this point in time of the season, how fully rested is he? How capable is he of carrying the team? He's been playing so many snaps, 95% of snaps every week is wild. But he's a big factor why they're good against the run. He's a big part of them. He got the interception. So he ain't coming off the field, but I do think some new wrinkles with their pass rush plan would benefit this team. I think philosophically, at the very basic level, that we can say that their defensive line rush plan can be enhanced. To what degree and to what? Something to look at.
Jason says, do we see Hassanin this week?
Well, a little birdie. I've been asking for, sourced information. Has not given that to me yet, so I don't think so. it would be nice to have an opportunity. I wanted to ask Dan that today, but the way the flow of the conversation was going, I felt my question needed to be asked. But I don't think so. I would be surprised if he debuts this season. I'm hearing that he's doing well in practice. But I haven't gotten the word on the street yet that he's doing it, but I'll maybe talk to him tomorrow and get more of an update. And you can check Lions on SI's video page. And I'll tell the boys too, what he tells me. But this week it's tough, first game, maybe on the road, maybe the pressure, would it be there to debut? I feel like, they trust, it's a numbers game. They trust Davenport and they trust Al-Quddin Muhammad and they trust Lee McNeil out there a little bit more. So we shall see. And you never know. You might need a tight end again and a defensive back to call up. So it might be a numbers game in regards to Hassanin. So I would say it's a 20% chance he gets called up this week. It's a long shot.
Lucas says, Doc, do I start Jalen Warren or Stephon Diggs in my flex?
Let me take a moment here. This is the 2 minutes for myself. I went 11-3 in the well, first of all, I did beat Adam, Mr. B, in the 2-week playoff there. So that was good in our league.
Hey, by the way, Doc. Hey. Who's in the finals in our league, huh?
Yeah, congratulations.
Hey, you whooped my ass to start the year. I had at least come back.
Fade it up. But in the other league, I was 11-3. And I looked at the matchup in round 1. I'm like, oh my God, this is terrible. This is unfortunate. My opponent had J-Mo, had great running backs that got 2 touchdowns each.
Gosh.
They had Trevor Lawrence on the bench who dropped 60.
God.
Drake May. I was eliminated in the first round for the second year in a row. This year, I thought was my closest year to taste a trophy. I am the Steelers of the playoffs, and I'm devastated. So I'm not the guy to give the best fantasy advice. But first of all, flex spot. Who is Jalen? Dial it up, fellas. Who's Jalen Warren playing? Who's at home? And who's Stephon Diggs going up against? And I'll give you a great answer that you can
I think it's Stephon, the Ravens.
At home or on the road?
I don't know. I don't know if they're, but I know. And then you have the Jalen Warren versus the Lions. But and that's in Detroit. Let me see.
Ooh.
I'll tell you right now.
My man, I think
it's in Baltimore. In Baltimore on the road.
Yeah, you go Jalen Warren. Unfortunately, the Lions, you have Aaron Rodgers. There should be a couple drives where he's going to get the team into the red zone. They're hungry too. So I think Jalen Warren is your start there.
There you go. Doc, we appreciate the hell out of you, my friend. Keep up the great work, and we will catch you next Wednesday. All right? Hopefully, well, no, it'd be earlier because Christmas Eve.
Yes,
Tuesday.
Tuesday, probably, yes.
Let's do Tuesday. Let's do Tuesday. Until Tuesday, Doc, we'll catch you. Appreciate you.
All right,
thanks,
Doc.
everybody.
There you go. The DOC joining the show, talking to the fellas. We appreciate the Doc as always, man. We got about 10 minutes left. Drop your mailbag questions, and we will get to them. But yeah, by the way, in our fantasy league, I took down Booner, and it was a battle. Took down Boone.
Not really, man. You got me good. It's a 2-week playoff. In the first week, I had Jalen Hurts with 0 points.
That's a tough start. I am in the final in our league versus Adam from Honolulu Blues, and I don't know about that. I don't know necessarily about that matchup.
He's got a good squad.
He's got a great squad, so that's a tough one. And then my other league, I'm in the playoffs in the first round. Second round, I had a bye week, and it's a 50-50 shot against basically a 500 team. I'm 10-4 in my other league, and I'm facing someone who's 7-7, but it's the most underachieving 7-7 team I've ever seen. He has Stafford, Achane, Bijan, Colby Parkinson, Javonte Williams, Michael Wilson, Texans D.
You should be able to beat that team, I think. No?
I have this is my line because I lost Jaden Daniels for the year. So I have Jacoby Brissett I just picked up. Bucky Irving, McCaffrey, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Hunter Henry, Jalen Warren.
That's a good team.
Christian Watson. It's a good
Amon-Ra
team.
and CMC.
It's a 50-50 shot to beat him. He's got Bijan against the Cardinals. And he's got
Devon
Achane, who's been crazy.
In my league with that, we have like a trophy, like my big league that I've been in for the longest. It's the playoffs started last week. I thought I lost because I was down like 1 million points going into Sunday night or 4 o'clock. Amon Ra gives me 40. On Tuesday, I thought I lost for 2 days. Tuesday, I open it up, confetti falling, and I get to the second round, and now I'm favored to go to the championship now. Like I have a 57% chance of going to the championship. I have, dude, look at this. Originally going into the season, I had Amarion Hampton, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Brian Thomas going into the season. Everyone thought was going to be a top 5 wide receiver. I had Brian Thomas, Malik Neighbors in this league, Roma Dunze, Dalton Kincaid, like Travis Kelce, T-Mac, Jalen Hurts, like a stacked squad. And obviously Malik Neighbors, IR. If I had a Malik Neighbors, I might have a chance to win the whole thing. But I'm just right now, I'm battling. I'm trying to figure out. I don't know if people can help me out over the next couple of days, but I'm obviously starting Amarion Hampton. I have Aaron Jones, or I can start either Kyle Monangai, Aaron Jones, or Kenneth Gainwell is my second running back. And then I have obviously Tet McMillan. I have Brian Thomas on the bench, Roma Dunze, who is probably not going to play, Jordan Addison, Troy Franklin.
I kind of like Kenneth Gainwell. He's balling. You see what Kenneth?
So I had Gainwell in my flex spot. Should I keep Aaron Jones in and go Gainwell and then keep Tet? Like,
what's Aaron Jones been doing?
Just average. He's projected to get 14 this week because they're playing the Giants, though. He's projected a bunch. He had 9 last week, 7, 4, 9. He hasn't had double digits in like 5 weeks, but he's projected 14 some reason.
What about Monangai?
Monangai's projected 11.
And
so
he
had 3 last. Monangai had 3 last week.
Oh, that's a risk because he might be RB1.
I had Monangai in last week. I somehow got out of round 1 with 3 points out of Monangai.
Oh, so you're in a pig. You got to take a shot here.
Like Troy Franklin. Troy Franklin's projected 7 points. Jeff, he had 20 last week. Brian Thomas is only projected 11. He had 17 last week. So I'm in a spot where it's like a couple of these guys actually just went off. So it's like, who do I roll with the guys that just went off, or do I keep them on the bench thinking they're about to? I don't know. We need to get together, all of us, and I need to figure out my fantasy lineup before tomorrow.
Doc just donated $2 to ask you if your tampon's blue.
Come on, dog.
ETN mailbag. Who's winning tomorrow? Rams or Seahawks?
I don't know. It's a great game.
I'm gonna go Rams again. Go Rams. They don't have Devontae.
I'm gonna go Seahawks head to head.
Yeah, no Devontae tomorrow.
Dude, by the way, Saturday night, did you know there's NFL Saturday night?
Who is it? Who plays? Who plays on Saturday?
Bears Packers.
Oh. It's a good one.
Yeah. That's
a really good one.
Incredible. I had no clue they were Saturday until I was looking at the schedule today.
We might need we got to watch. What time is that game on?
I don't know, but I have a family Christmas party at 4, so might be a little.
They play at 8:20. We
might have to do a little. Might have to drive around a little bit. Yeah,
might have to go watch that one. Damn, college football too, right?
Yeah.
It's gonna be a good weekend for football, man.
Great weekend for football.
Let's see. SW Lion mailbag. If Alabama loses to Oklahoma, does Michigan hire Kalen DeBoer?
I don't think Kalen DeBoer's out. I think they're waiting for Kenny Dillingham.
Yeah. Yeah. Joe Klotz said, I don't know. I ain't gonna believe it till they hire somebody and it ain't him. That's what he said. Yeah. He's like, I ain't believing it till they hire somebody that ain't Kalen DeBoer. He looked at the statement. He's like, it is what it is. I don't know. This will be interesting.
I wonder what Joel Klotz knows that we don't, because he knows something that he can't say to the public.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. That's what he said. He said, I'll believe it when they hire Kenny Dillingham officially, when it's official. Until then, he thinks Kalen DeBoer's not out of the picture still. That's what he said. So that is what it is. Yeah, Klotz just said I'll be watching college football. Yeah,
Hey, Klotz is out on the NFL.
He's out on the NFL.
Even if the Lions go to the playoffs, he's not allowed to watch.
Yeah, because you have, I mean, this. Let me see. Let me
On
look at
Friday
this.
night, you have a college football playoffs game, and then Thursday or Saturday, you have 3. Yeah, you have 1 and then 3.
Yeah,
I mean, they're not like they're good games. I think Ole Miss, Tulane, Oregon, JMU.
I mean, you have like Ole Miss is a 17.5-point favorite. Like, I mean, that's still a good game to watch.
Yeah.
Texas A&M's favored by 3.5, and then you have
Alabama, Oklahoma at 8.
The Friday, that's going to be a great game. Well, that's basically a pick'em game. Oklahoma's favored by 1.5.
So instead of watching Bears Packers, Klotz will be watching Illinois State and Villanova at 8 p.m.
Yep, and then he'll have also on at the same time. Oregon, James Madison. Oregon by 21, their favorite.
20-point favorite.
Yeah. Good for Klotz. He said, give me Miami.
There's no way Miami wins. There's no chance Miami wins.
He said he was throwing up. You see what he was doing on our show
Yeah,
yesterday?
but like Klotz, he didn't say anything this year about Miami. Last year, he was all over them. Now they finally make the college football playoffs, and now he's like, I'm a Miami. No, that's not how this game works, Klotz. You're not a Miami stan this year. You don't get to do that. There was a comment. Our guy here, Ahmed's pop's dad, said, "Hi, Booner, Jeff. Hi, Doc. This year is not our year. I don't know if this is our year. We have very bad defense, and our offense is tired. I feel like next year we will see a lot of changes in the defense." I agree.
I hope so. I really hope so. You see some change. I
want to
really
see Ahmed by the end of the season. I want to see him get a little run. If they're out of it, if they lose this week, I want to see him get run the next 2 weeks.
Can't hurt.
No, it can't. I want to see it.
Mark
Imagine
Davenport probably right now.
100%. I mean, he should be rolling without. Klotz said, "I've been on Miami all year." No, you have not. I have not heard you say Miami one time. You have not said Miami once. You were all over them when they had a Cam Ward. I've never heard you say the word Beck or whatever his name is.
Carson Beck.
Noah Beck.
Noah Beck.
You haven't said his name once all year.
Hey,
don't lie
shut
to the
back,
people.
man. Good show. It's a great show. We'll be back tomorrow. By the way, Flannel Sam joining the show tomorrow. We'll get to talk to Flannel. That'll be a good one. First time we'll be able to speak to Flannel since all this Michigan stuff went down.
Flannel's on tomorrow?
Yep. We'll get to talk to Flannel about really everything. Michigan, Lions, name it. We'll talk about it with Flannel. So be there tomorrow. Until then, we appreciate you all. You have a great rest of your night. Stay blessed. Hit the like button.
Love you guys.
Don't forget that. Until tomorrow. We'll catch you.